launch of A Woman's Guide to Business Domination. Super excited that we are kicking off our global launch right now. We have 18 amazing women from around the globe who are going to be sharing about the chapters that they've written. And I tell you what, it's just going to blow your mind with the expertise that they have, their willingness to just share their learnings, share their truths, share the steps that they think you should possibly take note of. And it's going to be absolute delight to share with each of them today. And we're going to be kicking it off with the amazing Hazel Herrington, who is going to be, who has done the foreword to this book and is also done a chapter called CEO Branding. And for those of you who don't know Hazel Harrington, she is a global leader, a woman's empowerment champion. She is an entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, an author. She has been recognized as one of the most influential women in the world by several prestigious organizations. She's also a driving force in global women's empowerment movement. She's certainly all about breaking down barriers that limit women's potential. And I've done a number of global events with Hazel, and she is absolutely sensational. She has interviewed celebrities around the globe. She's also the founder and CEO of her own Harrington Publications Worldwide, and which is a publishing and marketing company. She also produces inspiring magazines such as I Am Woman Global, Lady Politico Power, Lady Global Power. She's distributed to over 130 countries and 25 million viewers. I could go on and on about Hazel Herrington, but here she is. Welcome, Hazel.
Thank you, Annie. I'm so excited to be here today, and thank you so much for the opportunity to do the foreword for your book.
Oh, thank you. Well, our book, let's just call it our book. It's an absolute delight to have you do that. So tell everybody, when they receive the book, when they purchase this book, you know, what are the key thoughts that you put into writing the foreword?
Okay. Well, Annie, here it is. I mean, a foreword is a major part of the book because it sets the tone for the book. What can the readers expect? You know, what are the contents that are in there? It also builds credibility with the readers because in the foreword, there's information about Annie herself, a brief background on who Annie is. And I think when I wrote this foreword, I was so excited. I was like, wow, what a privilege and an honor to be part of a book that's going to transform women's lives. Because the reality is that this book is not just about how you can become a successful businesswoman, but it's all about empowering you to take up probably the next leadership position in your own organization, in your country. So I was so excited, and thank you for the opportunity once again, Annie.
Oh, I'm super excited. We get excited together, which is just the dream team, isn't it? It is just so wonderful to have you leading the charge in that recommendation, really, to actually say that you honor and you respect and you value the women that we've brought together for this book, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, you have written a sensational chapter on CEO branding, and I know you are like a total guru in marketing and branding. Why did you choose that topic, and what are the readers going to receive? Why should they learn more about branding?
Oh, thank you so much, Annie. Well, here's the reality. The chapter that I wrote is entitled CEO Branding for Corporate Success. In my chapter, I write about real life examples. For instance, you've got Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, real examples of CEOs that have achieved success by building a personal brand. So in my chapter, I talk about personal branding and why it's important and why you as a CEO need to be at the forefront of your brand. Because a lot of CEOs are in the background, hidden, and no one knows, I mean, who's the face of this business? Now, here it is that as the CEO of your business, you need to build a personal brand that aligns with your company's values, mission statement, and besides that, you need to be the one that's driving even the marketing and the branding strategy, not taking a backseat and making the marketing department run with that. And this is where I share all the personal branding tips on how then you can start building a personal brand if you don't have one, or how you can also avoid some of the blunders that some of the CEOs have made before in terms of personal branding.
Oh my goodness. I'm super excited about this chapter because as a CEO myself, and I have been for over a decade, it is super important. And I've often gone about that saying, you know, CEOs need to have their own personal branding. And I've been pulled up on that many a time saying, no, it's all about the company. It's all about the business. You're too grandstanding. It's not about you. Whereas I've always disagreed and went, no, it's about both. If there's strong alignment, you're in the right place, right? If your business aligns to who you are and the values and what you're wanting to achieve and vice versa, it's a winning game. And it is more important, I believe, in this, you know, in a digital world, in a global world, for us to definitely step out from behind the scenes and to have that brand. Many people who would end up coming to you, Hazel, would have shied away, if you like, from stepping out into their own branding. You know, they'll become very self-conscious. They'll become a bit fearful about that. What will other people think? How have you helped people overcome and to really step into that space of saying, you know what, you need to own who you are, you need to own what that is personally and professionally, and I will help you do that without giving all the tips away from the book. But what is the biggest joy when someone comes to you and how you're able to help them?
Okay. Well, here it is. A lot of people are afraid of putting themselves out there. You'd be surprised how many people don't want to be on a magazine cover. I mean, considering that we both publish magazines and you're thinking, oh, everybody wants to be on the cover because they have a fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, or will people like me? It's the same thing with personal branding. People are afraid to put themselves out there because they're afraid of getting bad reviews on their brand or afraid of negative comments. But as a brand, when you're building a strong brand, reviews are good for business. You're aware of what's not working in your business. You're aware of what your competition is doing because your customer will send a review and say, listen, I tried this product at such and such a place, so I think your product is not so good. And then this is information that you're receiving, and then you're obviously going to look at what your competition is doing and improve on your product. Now, when clients come to me, I obviously make them feel comfortable and let them know that all things are possible if they can only believe in themselves. Because we first have to deal with the mindset. Because if you don't change the way that you think, there's nothing that I can do to help you shift. So from then onwards, we work on your brand. We work on why is it that you exist. You know, people need to know what are your values and your mission statement, like I said before, and who's your target audience. We deal with all that, and why should people buy from you? And we need to be able to clearly communicate that. And these are the blunders that some of the companies are making right now, is that we don't know what you do because you're not clearly communicating, you know. And I always say we use the 5 W's. In anything that you do, why must I buy from you? Who are you? Where can I find you? Isn't it? Who is this product for? Isn't it? And where can I find it? If you can just answer those simple questions, I mean, it's a walk in the park for a personal brand. And Annie, I mean, I've looked at how you've presented this book online from the cover. That's all important. We also talk about that, in that quality is more important than quantity, you know, because a lot of people are compromising when it comes to investing in their brand. They don't want to spend. They don't want to get to work with experts, but that's so important because they feel I can do it for myself. You'll be surprised how many people want to build their own websites, do their own flyers, and not engage experts. And I always say to people, work with the best, because people, you honestly speaking, you get what you pay for.
Yeah. You sure do. You sure do. And on one hand, it's great. You want to know how all things work and you want to be, you know, have a little dabble. But when you're wanting to really set the tone of your brand, who you are, what you stand for, how you are represented, you want that to be first class. You want that to be a delight for someone to receive and feel that they actually know you, right? It's got to be that good that they go, oh my gosh, I heard Hazel and Annie speaking at their book summit, and they're actually very much like the message that I receive in their video tips, their coaching platforms, on YouTube, wherever it is, because it absolutely aligns, you know. And I think it's so wonderful. And I know when I first sort of stepped into, you know, getting into personal branding, that's right, it can, if those of you are listening in going, oh, it's a bit scary, you know, I'm a little bit old, or I'm a little bit tired, or you know, I'm a little bit this or a little bit that. It doesn't matter. Authenticity matters. And I love what you do, and hopefully what I represent too, which is that, you know, you are the person who is the brand, right? So Hazel is Herrington Publications, you know, global. Annie is Women's Biz Tribe. You know, if I'll have Linda Fisk will be on later, Leadership Global. You'll very much go and say there's the company and the person, but people know and love the person. You only have to research a whole lot of company pages, and it's really hard to get company likes, but people either love or hate the person. So it's super important. Your topic, Hazel, is so important to get your brand right, because actually in these modern days, if you don't get the person right, you know, or represented properly, it can greatly damage the potential for the brand.
Yeah. Here it is, Annie. You spoke about something that's very important. You said that you need to be authentic and you need to be unique. And I see a lot of brands trying to be everything, and they're everywhere. They want to be this, they want to be that. But the reality is that when you are working on your brand, you focus on who your target audience is. So when you see companies doing that and they're everywhere, it's because they've got no idea who their target audience is. And I love what you also mentioned as well when you said, okay, you've got your company and the face behind the brand. Let's talk about Amazon, for instance, okay? Can you imagine if we didn't know who Jeff Bezos was? Because Jeff Bezos is the first person who actually defined what personal branding is in a proper way. He says it's what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yes.
Hello?
Brilliant.
Isn't that so true?
It's
when I
so
talk
true.
about the Women's Business Tribe, I'm thinking about the book and the speaking, okay? And I'm thinking about Annie and how amazing, okay, the launch was, and basically a bubbly personality behind. But if we don't know who's behind it, then we don't care. You know,
exactly.
Okay, yeah, all right, they're doing that. But when we get involved, I get involved in my brand, you get involved in your brand, we collaborating as women. And I said this before, collaboration in business is so important. And this is what this book is all about. We share our success tips, our challenges. I mean, we've got Dr. Ingrid who's talking about the latest trends in technology. Collaboration. We're collaborating with different women and we're sharing this information. And guess what? For the ladies that are watching, we actually became a part of this book by becoming part of a network. We just didn't receive emails and say, oh, by the way, I'm Annie Gibbons, Hazel Harrington. Can you be a part of my book? No, Hazel, guess what? We've worked together. I'm also doing a book. Would you like to be a part of it? Of course. We're here to uplift, encourage, and support one another. And that's what this book is all about. So if you're listening and you're saying, oh, why should I buy this book? It's not just about how you can become a successful businesswoman. It also shows you that if Annie can do it, you can do it. And how you can rally a group of women to support you and push you forward.
Oh, so well said. Absolutely. If Annie can do it, anyone can do it. Because I had 4 children in 2 years. Like, let me tell you, I have done the impossible. So seriously, anyone else, your journey is going to be easier. Let me tell you. So never hold yourself back. But I love what you've actually said there, Hazel. That's it. Our relationships have happened organically. They've happened naturally. All the ladies who share in this book don't have to force anything. They're actually just, you know, we know what they stand for. We see the evidence of their being, right? We see the evidence of their work. We see them celebrating wins for others. We see them celebrating achievements in their own business. We see them growing. And because of that, we actually also support each other, cheer each other on, and we're happy to actually, go into each other's space and go, that's fantastic. You know, be in each other's magazines, be in each other's books. You know, this is all great. And this is a whole new trend, which is hopefully taking off globally. We're championing it till it actually does, for women to support women, women to empower women to actually, you know, to be comfortable in who they are, to get that confidence, to believe that they can achieve, to go, oh my gosh, I could actually start a company. I could be the face of that company. I could actually work on the branding and what would that mean? And I tell you what, Hazel, it's exciting, isn't it? It's so exciting once you start unpacking the whole world of branding. It's like, it's just like, if you're a creative, it's super cool, because suddenly you just go, oh yeah, like you get to pick everything, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not just logos. I love that quote. It's what everyone says when you're not in the room, you know, and that absolutely is golden. And so I've had so many people who they tell you what their company, what it is, what it stands for, this or that. But if you walk into that shop, you know, your experience of the brand is your experience, right? It's what you received on that day at that time. The same as going to a conference or hearing a speaker or reading a book. You know, it actually, therefore, what you do, Hazel, is so important, because it's got to be on point consistently. And one point you said, which I'd love you to address a little bit more, is to actually narrow it down, to really stay focused, not to be all things to all men, because one, it's a bit exhausting, but two, it's harder to find your customer, right?
Absolutely. We're talking about consistency, Annie, not only in posting. People, when you talk about branding and consistency, people think, oh, no, I need to be consistent when I'm posting. It's not only that. You need to be consistent when it comes to your colors. You'll be shocked at how many people they're not consistent in this area. Their Instagram has got another email compared to their website. Everything needs to be consistent. Be consistent with your colors. Be consistent with your message. Remember I said communicating clearly. Till today, you online and you've got a website, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, and we still don't know what you do. Your colors, your color, like for instance, Annie, your colors right now, we can see you're using gold, you're using blue, you're consistent with your colors are matching with your book. That's great branding. It's important for your brand identity. The same thing with Facebook. I know Facebook's colors. I don't even have to think about it. It's blue and white. Netflix is red. So now why with your brand are you using red today and you're using yellow on your flyers? You need to tell your marketing team to make sure that everything is memorable. They need to remember me. And you also said something else. You talked about women and you said to them, well, listen, if Annie can do it, I can do it. Ladies that are watching and gentlemen, personal branding, business is not always going to be an easy road. There are going to be challenges you'll face. And that's why you need to get this book, because we also talk about the challenges. Because we'd be lying to you if we said we didn't fall down and then get up again. So what if you fail? And that's why I say Hazel Herrington is a branding expert. I've been doing this for years. I learned along the way how to fail. As far as I'm concerned, you cannot be an expert in anything unless you failed at least more than 3 times. And am I lying, Annie? That's the truth.
Oh, it's so the truth. I'm happy to share my failures. Yeah. The Women's Biz Tribe was not Women's Biz. I first called it Lipstick Consulting because I thought it's all about lipstick. It represents women. Oh my God, what an epic fail. All I got is from lipstick companies. And it wasn't even me. I'm like, it was so confusing. It's like, are you the lipstick lady? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm about women. See the metaphor? And I'm like, oh, too complicated. It was disastrous. It took me like 2 years to get out of that.
And the thing is that we're laughing about it. But some people don't realize is that you can have fun in business. It's okay to laugh, enjoy yourself, be so serious. Go out there and network. I talk about this in personal branding. When you're building your brand, go and network with other people. Don't hibernate and stay by yourself. Go out there and also create value for others. Get involved in your community. It's so important to get involved in your community. Let them see you out there helping, whether it's the kids' sports days, buying T-shirts for the sports team, whether it's picking up garbage during the week in an area where there's just where they need help. But when you're building your personal brand, it's not all about you just making money. Your mission statement, your values must also be about helping in the community,
Yeah. It's relationships. All successful companies will have a pay it forward model. They'll be giving short sponsorships. They'll be assisting others, doing some pro bono, because you want to be part of that whole community. You actually want to appreciate what you've got and ideally help others along the way. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the way that the women in this book, including yourself and including myself, have all are very, very happy to share those learnings, because that is the key. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're reading these sorts of books, don't just read something that it says it's so easy, or these are the principles, adopt them and it'll work. If it was that easy, we would have all got there like 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of it's because the environment changes for a start, and the pandemic has shifted everything. You have to be current. You have to be in the right networks. You have to be learning from people who are on a journey ahead of you. Even in branding, you're wanting to then go, okay, well, who are my competitors? What are they looking like? And how do I uniquely show up in that space? And I think you do that so well, Hazel, that you work with a lot of amazing people that are, many of them that I know, and they're all unique, and that's a good thing. So celebrate your uniqueness, and I think you bring out that beautifully in them, that even the way they show up, you help them, you guide them on the photos that they use, the colors, the way they approach something. It might even be different in different environments, and that's okay, because it's about the consumer. What does the consumer receive at this time? And you certainly taught me lots of things about that anyway, so I'll just say thank you publicly.
Thank you. And I mean, it's been a pleasure working with you. And you talked about uniqueness. I think everybody has something special about themselves. You just have to get the right person to tap into that gold that's within you. And when you're building a personal brand, it's all about I always talk about what's your purpose? What are you passionate about? And then building your business around that. I'll give you an example. And now we're talking about the power story. Is that every business, every personal brand must have a story behind it. Why do you exist? I love companies that will talk about, okay, I started my business because I saw kids suffering, and then they decided to create their organization, and then they built their colors from a memory from the child that they saw, that they support, those kind of things, your uniqueness. So now when we're talking about being authentic and being unique, when it comes to personal branding, here's the thing is that when you are fake, people can see it. They can see it. They can say, okay, listen, Hazel's been fake here. I don't think that she's a surfer. I don't think she has ever been surfing. She's from Africa, and I'm starting to talk about surfing. That kind of thing. So when we say be authentic, be your true authentic self. I shared a post recently of when I burnt out. I was so nervous about putting it out there. But then I realized is that some of even the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that are authentic. They talk about their failures, like what we're talking about now in this book. They talk about their failures, they talk about their successes, and they share it. And Annie, I also know that you went to hospital this year. You weren't afraid to share your journey, because women, we shouldn't be afraid, to share that. Listen, even though I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, I get sick, I also go through challenges. And I went through a challenge where I was working, pushing myself, obviously because of COVID, working overtime, and then I actually burnt out. And when I shared that story, one lady reached out to me and was so honest and said, that's me. I need to rest. And for me, that was the most powerful thing I could have done with that post. If just one lady heard me and decided to stop, and that's enough for me. So if you're watching this and you've been pushing yourself, driving yourself, and you haven't taken time out to rest, you really need to create the balance between home, family, and your personal life, because your health is very important. And what I like is that all these women that are sharing, we have one powerful woman that's going to be sharing on health, and she's going to be talking about the importance of your health. So this is why you need to read this book. All things that we're talking about, they're all in there.
Exactly. It's got something for everyone. It definitely does. It's got such a broad range. It's not repeating, oh, I did this and it became successful and therefore I'm amazing. No, it is raw sharing. It's how they've overcome challenges. It might be key principles that they've adopted. There's a different flavor. You will actually feel like you actually get to know the individual authors just because of the way they share and their stories. And many of us have, you know, it's been those challenges. It's been those moments that we went, oh my gosh, like when we're laughing now. We weren't laughing at the time. We were crying at the time, going, oh my gosh, how hard is it? You know, and everything's easier in hindsight. But because of those challenges and because we're actually willing to share them, that actually is what then now helps people in the people that we coach and share with, because it gives them the slick stream, right? It won't stop their own challenges. You will always have your own challenges, and you should, because you have deep learnings from that. But there are so many tips and tricks in this book that you go, oh my gosh, well, if that happened, I can see why it happened. That's something I could avoid. Like your lady saying, oh, if I, you know, tapping into the symptoms of burnout, I could then pull back and avoid it. You know, that's what we actually want people to do. Still have their own growth stories and journey, but also to be able to learn from experts who've been there before, who've had some challenges, and go, you know what, just think about this, or apply it to your own situation, or know how to collaborate, how to actually, you know, get a leg up if they need to have that value added to their life. So thank you so much, Hazel. Well, it's been an absolute delight having you join me for the launch of this amazing book. I'm super excited. As you know, actually, anyone who knows Annie Gibbons, that's part of my brand. I'm actually always super excited. But I'm particularly, I've gone to Oprah levels of excitement today, because this book needed to have been written. You know, it's a book that it has just got such a fantastic caliber of women who are all sharing their area of genius. And even in business, you know, we've got to be, as CEOs or business owners, you've got to be great at, you know, pretty much, you know, most aspects, enough to then be able to assess and monitor once you get teams and so forth. But, you know, you're all going to have an area of genius, right? And that's what this book is actually tapped into. People who are doing so well as business leaders, but they're actually super passionate about one key thing. And they're the ones that you really want to align with. So if you're needing help with CEO branding, you've got the website there, harringtonpublications.com. You want to be reaching out to Hazel Herrington and asking her for any tips and tricks. You can connect with her very easily. In the book, all of her bio contact details are there, but you can also find her very easily on social and via her website. So thank you so much, Hazel, and serious, such an honor to have you write the foreword to this book. Really, really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure.
Fantastic. And we will be coming back in about 3 minutes' time with our next author. So stay tuned, viewers.